Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the man behind the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about a new 4K release. It is Morbius, starring Jared Leto, and it is based off the Marvel Comics character. And this movie was delayed 2 years because of the pandemic, and it came out to, a nice way of putting it, is a mixed reception from critics and audiences alike. I had heard things from friends, I saw some reviews on YouTube, and I even read some reviews, and they were, like I said, mixed is a nice way of putting it. I watched the movie in the theater, and I watched it again last night on 4K. The movie, I enjoyed it for what it was. I had lower expectations, and my Marvel Comics knowledge pretty much stops after Spider-Man, X-Men, Daredevil, and the Punisher. I didn't know too much about too many of the other characters, so I don't have any attachments to the Morbius character. The movie has a lot of interesting ideas, none of which are really explored. It starts out, Jared Leto plays Dr. Michael Morbius. He's a genius, but he has a rare blood disorder that is going to eventually kill him at a very young age. And he has his best friend who we met at the orphanage where they take care of kids with this rare blood disorder. He meets his childhood friend Milo. And so they both suffer, and they just desperately want a cure. And Morbius is a genius, so he does some ethically questionable things to try to cure himself. And he does by splicing some DNA from bats, but there is a side effect. Now he's very powerful, but he has to drink human blood. He had developed some artificial blood, which was a groundbreaking thing, so he uses that, but that only lasts so long, so he needs to continue to feed, or he goes back to his weakened condition that he has. So that's where the dynamic is, and his friend Milo wants the cure because he doesn't care. He's tired of living the way he's living. So you understand these characters' motivations, and Jared Leto and Matt Smith are both very good because they're the only ones with any material to really work with. The supporting cast is excellent. Adria Arjona, I think I'm pronouncing that right, I hope I am, and Jared Harris and Tyrese Gibson are all very talented, and they're given nothing to do. Adria Arjona is a great screen presence, and her character, Martine Bancroft, could have been good, but she just cuts in and out of the movie, and she's just an amazing screen presence, and I wish they'd used her more. One of the movie's many flaws here. Now, this movie also, the story uses a lot of movie logic, which I can go along for the ride, but this one, wow, does it have some coincidences in the storytelling. And you know, you can go along with it for a little while, but it's like, man, this guy, a whole lot of coincidences to keep this story going. So this movie uses movie logic a whole lot. Another thing here is overall the CGI looks pretty good. There's some interesting things here. The things that really hurt this movie and was disappointing to me was not using Adria Arjona enough, not developing the Martine Bancroft character with Morbius much. They just started connecting, but nothing was ever really developed. Thing here is lack of character development for the most part, and it just goes from one direction to another. It wouldn't surprise me if there were script rewrites on the fly. This movie doesn't have an identity. And it's a soft PG-13. This movie should have been rated R. If it established an identity, developed the characters, and went for broke with an R rating, I think you would have had a really great movie. So this movie is entertaining but disappointing. So I'll give it 3 out of 5 stars because I was entertained, but kind of disappointed too. But I am glad I picked it up. Now, one thing it reminds me of, I think, because you know, comic book movies have become so good with deep characters and storylines and stuff, that Blade in 1998 really opened it up for a dark and gritty R-rated thing that really broke the gate wide open for genre comic book films, stuff like that. And then X-Men and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man showed that you can give depth to these characters and this world, and there's a lot to do. Because before then, comic book movies were kind of a mixed bag. Some were great, a lot of them were not. This movie, had it come out in 1997, I think would have been one of those movies where it made more money and people had a good time with it, and then when they look at it years later, I'm like, it really wasn't all that great, but I did have a good time in the theater when I went to see it. So it'd be like that. It kind of reminds me of a movie to compare it to would be Spawn, where just take it for what it is, entertaining but flawed, but it did deliver some fun. That's the way I would compare this movie to. Now, let's talk about the 4K, because that's a whole different thing. It comes with this cool holographic thing here for the slip cover. That's really cool. And you have the artwork in here, and it also comes with a digital copy. Take that out here, and you got the artwork on the discs. And the visual quality for this 4K is amazing. I watched it last night. Sony continues to show that they are amazing at 4K transfers. This was an experience watching it, all the different colors and special effects, and all of that was a stunner. Like the New York skyline, just everything here was stunning visually. It has a Dolby Atmos track and the musical score, which is actually pretty solid, and the sound mixing is perfect. So as far as a home video experience, this is top notch for a movie that isn't exactly top notch. So that I will say. So if you want a movie that you just want to turn your brain off and have a little fun with, but thought it could be better, but you didn't want to get, a movie that's too deep, you just want to put something on after a hard day at work and just be entertained for a little bit, this movie will do that for you. It is what it is. That's the best way of putting it. But overall, I'm glad I picked up this movie, so when I have a long shift, I can put this in, kind of turn my brain off, and have a little fun here. So that's my thoughts on the movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments of this movie. Do you think it should have been rated R? Any of those things, I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And take care till next time.